Daddy, yes, Daddy, Zan Daddy. I am here talking with one of my dear friends, Zan. He is one of my boys, my college roommates. We're talking about secret dad things. If you're a dad, you know what we're talking about. And if you're not a dad, but you kind of want to know what that daddy is thinking, we are gonna dish. ARIEL did a complimentary episode where they talked all about mom truths with Rachel Cole. And I'm here with my buddy Zan. Zan, how are you doing today?
I'm really good. My son, who's 3 months old, set a new sleeping record last night. He went 5 hours and 35 minutes, which I know to the minute because of the snoo.
What? That's huge.
No soothing, no red, straight blue on the snoo. It was
straight
awesome.
Blue on the snoo.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. A little different for me last night. Wes, my 3-year-old, who should be just straight blue 24/7. Well, straight blue for 11, 12 hours at night. Woke up screaming multiple times. Maybe something was scary. I don't know, but that's always rough when you're like, I thought I only had to deal with the 6-month-old, but the toddler wakes up. Oh boy. Dad, come in!
Yeah.
Got him back to sleep, and we're here. Welcome to Baby Steps, weekly parenting comedy podcast. Like I said, today we are talking about dad secrets. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and at Baby Steps on social media. Zan, one thing that people who are Try Guys fans remember you from is in the a lie detector test. You're one of my close college friends. I famously said that if you were hanging like off of a train tracks or cliff or something, and the other Try Guys were hanging off a cliff, that I would choose to save my college buddies because I'd known them for longer, and they were in dear to me. And then everyone freaked out, and it was very funny. So congratulations, you're one of my oldest friends.
Thank you, and likewise.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some dad secret stuff. First, to give some people a little bit of background on you, I want to hear about what was it like being a stay-at-home dad. You chose to be a stay-at-home dad. You did it for over 2 years. And what was that? What period of time like?
Yeah, it was a crazy period for sure. It was just with my daughter, who's about very slightly older than Wes. And from the time that she was about 4 months old to the time that she was like 16 or 17 months old, I was a stay-at-home dad. I lost my job and hung out at home with her, and it was wild. Just watching her grow up, like watching her learn to walk and crawl and talk, not in that order, was awesome. But definitely wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough to do all of the dad things, but at the same time, you're there, you're seeing every single moment. I was on a tour bus freaking out that I would miss a certain moment, and being able to stay at home, you're like, well, I'm seeing everything. I'm maybe seeing too much.
Yeah, it changed your perspective on the pace of things. Like, you always hear like, oh, they grow up so fast, which they do in retrospect, but man, they grow up slowly hour by hour.
Yes, if you're watching it for 12 hours at a time, they grow up so slowly.
Like, oh, you're almost rolling over. You're millimeters past where you rolled over yesterday, but you're still not rolling over. Maybe you'll roll over tomorrow.
To give everyone context, Zan has a very similar, children's ages to me and ARIEL. You have a 3-year-old girl and a 3-month-old boy.
Yep.
And during that time, your wife, who's a doctor, was the one working a bunch. Do you?
Yeah, she was in training for basically. I mean, she was in training for basically. She was a resident when when our daughter was born, and she became a fellow doing like some specialized stuff shortly thereafter. And fellowship was a lot of work. And it was during her fellowship year that I was full-time stay-at-home.
Now, I feel like there's a stereotype with dads that either they aren't as invested as the mom or they're a bit more distant. I mean, that's the true stereotype of the 1950s dad. It was very distant. But I feel like, dads today are really, really tapped in and maybe in a different way. But we have a dad's text thread that is quite active with sleep training suggestions and tips. And my child pooped on me in this way. And what do you think that the perspective of what sort of things that dads care about that people maybe don't know is?
I can only speak with like really young kids, and it's sort of wild to me to think about like having different parenting styles with a kid who's less than 18 months old. Like they just have basic needs. They need food, they need sleep, they need their diaper changed constantly. Like there aren't really styles on that. There is one right way to do a diaper and a lot of wrong ways, and you do the wrong ways enough, you get covered in poop. Until you figure it out. So I'm starting to notice a little bit maybe of like different parenting styles. And I think that's beneficial for kids. They're going to have different caretakers. They're going to have teachers. It's good for kids to see different styles. But with infants, man, you're just taking care of their basic needs. That's all it is. And I feel like dads can be as involved, as vigilant as anyone else.
I definitely feel like there's a practicality to my approach to infant care. I'm kind of like running through a mental checklist in my mind. I'm responding emotionally to the baby, yes, but I'm also like, did we try this? Did we try this? Did we try this? Okay, yep. No. All right, then the answer is he's sleepy.
Yeah.
It's so true.
The checklist, it gets longer and longer until you hit a point when it doesn't make sense to have this be a checklist anymore.
Yeah. As a 3-year-old, the checklist is 3 pages long. And it's did we put your berries in a group or in a stack?
Yeah.
Did I add the milk before the granola or after?
Did I mindlessly cut your pancake in half before I'd had a single cup of coffee, causing a true just Chernobyl level disaster?
Yeah. Do you have any good meltdown stories that you can think of recently?
It's actually, I think it's getting better. Maybe this is Stockholm syndrome, but I think it's
it's getting better. Isn't it getting better? I mean, we're talking on a public podcast, so it's got to be better, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's the sleep.
Yeah, 5.5 hours is huge. You're at that inflection point of just being able to rest a little bit more.
It's gonna make the regression so much more painful. He's gonna somehow hear this podcast and he's be like, "All right, I gotcha. I'm waking up every 45 minutes.
You're mine now. I'll see you all night." Do you ever feel like? Because I remember. Okay, let's go back to fall 2018. We have our big fantasy football draft. Zan's a very good fantasy football player, a perennial champion, playoff contender, except for last year when he drafted both Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey, who got injured in the first month of the season.
The net special. I learned it from you.
What's that? Oh, yeah, that's true.
I learned that from you.
That is what I did.
More than 75% of your draft budget on 2 running backs.
Yeah.
Lose the league.
We've lost all of our non-football fan listeners. So in 2018, our kids were, a couple months old, and we all presented this vision to our various partners of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we all met up for a weekend with the boys and just, drank beer and talked about sports for a couple of days. And I think this was received varying levels of sure to Really? But we did it. We ultimately were able to go spend this weekend together, despite the kids being pretty young. And
Yeah.
I'm struck by the importance of male friendships and also time kind of balancing away um, from babies. How do you feel about that? I mean, how do you kind of navigate um, those I want to do this, but my partner wants to do this, or like kind of like balancing the time for yourself and time with your guy friends versus time with family?
I mean, the group chat is a lifeline. The group chats are totally a lifeline. Especially because, like it's not like I'm going to spend a weekend away texting on my phone, but it's like, I got 10 minutes. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna it's a way to reconnect, and I mean, especially during the pandemic. It's hard to imagine what this would be like not with the pandemic. Like, one of the benefits of having a pandemic baby is that there's no real dad FOMO. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck at home with a baby, but everyone else is stuck at home with the quarantine.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true, I guess. Yeah, I'm
so
not looking at anyone's Instagram stories being like, wow, it must be cool to go to a concert.
yeah, um, which is that's a different thing, especially because I feel like we were sort of early in our friend group with our first ones, and there was definitely
Yeah.
it was definitely very obvious what we were doing versus what a lot of our friends were doing.
Yeah, there became a divide between
Yeah,
the dad friends and the single friends or child free friends. I do find that my leisure time has more focused on like intermittent bits of activity on my phone, which could be engaging in a group chat or doing a turn by turn chess game, which Zan and I did play for several months, and then he had a child.
and then I had a child.
A second child. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's so important to try and keep that sense of friendships and sense of self, even as you're investing even more in your family life. I mean, I'm sort of like I'm not that interested in forming new friendships type of phase. Maybe that's the pandemic speaking. You don't have time to really meet people. You have about time to like hang out with your family, hang out with your friends that are close, and then go to bed.
I started a new job in September 2019. So, 6 months before everyone went on lockdown. And I sort of miss my work friends. Like, those are
Mm.
those are good, because that's a good friendship where you see the same people every day. You have interesting conversations. It's nice to see adults. I was really glad to see adults, particularly
Yeah.
then, like coming off of not a whole lot of adult time. But
I mean, what was that moment like first walking into the office after a time
oh
of
man,
intense stay at home daddom?
just like my office, it had a door and I could close it, and it was nice.
You
It
could
was
poop in peace,
it was so
can
nice.
do a task uninterrupted.
Yeah, or just stare off into space uninterrupted.
Yeah, just not be great at your job. Just just look at your
Yeah.
phone for a little while.
Yeah, the guilt-free
Mm.
phone sneaking, as opposed to like, oh, I'm being a terrible dad because even though
Yeah.
my kid is safe, like, could I be engaging more?
I feel like that guilt complex is a real, I don't know. Is it more with dads? I feel like my wife rushes into the room like immediately at the sign of a little bit of crying. And for me, so, earlier on, I started doing that. And now I'm like, well, we're sort of trying to encourage some self soothing. Like maybe that's just called lazy sleep training. But I'm like, well, if I take a couple minutes to go in, maybe they'll kind of regulate their own emotions for a sec. I guess
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
hard.
kind of bad doing that, but also they're fine. They're safe. To a degree, you're helping them regulate their emotions. But I don't know. I think we need to do a more formal approach to sleep training because it's been all over the place.
Oh, it's just, yeah, you got to commit. I feel like that was
gotta
that
commit,
was like,
then it's done.
it was, you get both parents on the same page, and you just do it.
Yeah,
It's hard. It was really hard. Nap training was harder. That was the thing. Like we just did it all at once. The book says do it all at once. Like you do nap training and sleep training at the same time.
I need to tell that to Ariel. She wanted to do it in stages.
Yeah, I feel like I just feel like you got to rip the Band-Aid.
Idea.
But man, especially because like at least for me, every kid's different, but at least for me, naps, like before we did nap training, naps weren't great, but it was like if we could get her to sleep, it was like a solid hour in the day where I was like, okay, she's asleep, I'm watching the monitor, but all I have to do is watch the monitor. That's daddy's phone time. That's daddy's Civ 5 time. That's daddy's like try to bake a loaf of bread time.
Sam
and then we
also is a baker.
Yeah.
It's just like a dad thing, right? It's like you need a hobby inside the house. You can't leave the house.
Yeah.
You do something for yourself.
I could do some woodworking, but that's really loud. That's going to wake the baby. Bread is real quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, woodworking. That's a super dad thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's a stereotypical. I don't own any woodworking thing. I got a drill. I like my drill.
When you were a stay-at-home dad, did you have other stay-at-home dad friends, or did you make stay-at-home mom friends, like at the park or whatever?
No, it was so we moved. We moved like right at the beginning of all of this. So we were moving to a new city. My in-laws were fairly close by, but we were moving to a city that we knew we weren't staying in. So it was like it was the easiest thing in the world to just not make friends. Because I mean, making parent friends is a lot of work, and it's worth it. It's great, but the payoff is like in the future. And we knew we were leaving.
Oh so, man, that's tough.
There were definitely people that you like saw at the library or at the like random part, you're doing the same circuit of library reading groups and music and whatever. I will say, I feel like as a dad in those spaces, and often like the only dad in those spaces, that was it was hard to sort of like even strike up casual conversations, which is on me, not on anyone else. But it was I was definitely like, I was acutely aware at that point of very often being the only dad in the room.
Wow, the only dad in the room. Wow. Yeah, that would be really tough. Do the moms have their guard up? Do they think you're hitting on them?
I don't think so.
Female interaction at a bar or something.
It was me. It wasn't anyone else. But it's like it's a weird, I don't know. I mean, I'm a white straight guy. Like I'm not used to being, it was a very unusual experience for me to be the only but the only person of a particular category in a room. That's not something I've experienced a lot in my life.
Yeah. And you're adding that to the kind of isolating feeling of, trying to make small talk with a 4-month-old.
Yeah. And plus, if she's crawling and like inevitably she's crawling towards the thing that she's going to put in her mouth and it's going to like clog her throat. So like you can't really focus on your adult time on the best of circumstances. You've got like eyes in the back of your head. Like, what are you going to eat?
Yeah, right. I remember like there would be moments where, because Ariel did that for a period of time, and we would come back at the end of the day and I would kind of have had a hard day at work and be jealous that she got to spend all this time with the baby and all this kind of also time when the baby was napping where she could do whatever she wanted. And she's like jealous of me, like being able to go to work and, not be stressed 24/7 that the infant was trying to, hurt themselves inadvertently. But yeah, I imagine those roles kind of had flipped for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely the case. Like, I don't think I would have wanted to been working a job as demanding as my wife's job. But, I went long stretches without, having interactions with adults. And that was hard.
Did your wife ever when she was returning feel like the inverse, like wanting to, she's like kind of feel like she needs to spend more time with the kids?
Oh, for sure. I mean, especially if she was, you know, she would have days where with like she wouldn't see our daughter just because, you know, she would leave before our daughter woke up and come home after bedtime.
Yeah.
And that's really hard.
That's a grueling schedule for anyone, but especially for a new mom.
Yeah. Oh, it was brutal. I mean, she got no sleep. I have no idea how she did it. She's awesome. She's amazing.
And my wife also is amazing as well.
Yes.
Dear wives who are listening to this pod, let's talk about the juicy secrets. I mean, what are some things that we talk about in our dad friend group that maybe our partners don't know, or that the world doesn't know? I feel like most of the juiciest things are things we really shouldn't say, or just like complaining about either our kids or our partners in turn. But it just feels good to have a space to talk about with you know, other friends where they get it.
It is really nice to go from being like making a face of complete empathy with your toddler's tantrum, no matter how ridiculous it is, and then like, you know, when it's over and things are settled, like turning around and picking up the phone and being like, all right,
yeah,
this is what
look at what this little turd did.
Yeah.
Left a literal turd on the floor.
And blamed dad for it somehow. It is dad's fault that I pooped.
It's so true. We'll just, anytime something bad happens, we'll we'll talk about it with each other. The other day, Wes was like, I was pooping, and he was, for whatever reason, he was waiting for me to be done. And then he went into his room and he slammed the door.
Polite.
I'm like, what's happening there? I'm like, Wes, are you okay? And he says, I have to poop. And I was like, well, come on in. He's like, was about to start half pooping in his diaper in his room because we just woken up. And now he's turning into a little teen. He's like, I want privacy, Dad. He'll slam the door on me sometimes. I'm like, oh, my baby's all grown up.
Oh, kids indoors, terrifying. It's like you just don't know what they're going to do with their fingers.
Once the younger one starts like, you know, toddling around, like he is just going to get wrecked. Once like the older one knows that they can kind of be rambunctious around the younger one and it's okay, there's going to be like this little period of time where it's like, it's okay until it's not.
Yeah.
We're having fun slamming the door in each other's faces until Finn's hand gets caught in it because he doesn't quite have as good motor skills because he's, 14 months old.
Yeah.
Still old enough to laugh at a door slam joke. But, yeah.
He's old enough to get his fingers in the door, but he's not old enough to get his fingers out of the door.
Yeah. Like, one stereotype that I feel is kind of damaging is this idea of dads being distant. Do you think that is like true? Have you found yourself seeking out like more escapist things to like have a mental break? Or do you think it's kind of more of a stereotype?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely like, I don't know. Everybody needs to compartmentalize. Moms, dads, like, every caretaker just needs to be able to compartmentalize. And I just feel like it's more about doing that in a healthy way and at healthy times. And if I'm taking care of two kids and I'm the primarily responsible for them or primarily responsible for one, that's not a great time to zone out. But, when they go to bed, I don't know.
That's daddy's time.
That's daddy's time. It's definitely, that stereotype's there for a reason, but I don't know. Every parent's different. It's not, I don't know if it's a mom or a dad thing. There's there are things that some parents do well.
it's also so heteronormative. It's like, I'm sure there are people of all genders that kind of feel like they need to escape for a little bit.
And like, being sensitive to what your partner needs too is like it's not just daddy time after bedtime. It's mommy time too.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's together time. Sometimes it's really just want to look at Instagram on the couch, like sitting together, but not talking time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've all been there. I definitely think, at least in my relationship, I kind of, I don't know, maybe have more of a need to have time outside the house. Like I would, it's important to me to be able to go to like a soccer practice every week. And it's important to me to go on like a weekend with the buddies once or twice a year. I think Ariel expresses her need for alone time in slightly different ways.
I think I definitely value time like genuinely away from the kids more.
Yeah.
Which and I don't know if that's a dad thing or a me thing or an artifact of like, I like just realizing I've it's been a long time since I've had the experience of like missing my kid.
Yeah.
Which, is like as a parent is really hard to miss your kid, but it's also it's like I see you every day. I see you a lot every day.
There's an absence makes the heart grow fonder type of thing.
Of the 3 years you've been alive, I've been leaving the house for work for maybe 9 months of those, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm home a lot. You see me a lot. You get sick of me. I'm allowed to get a little sick of you too.
I get it, bro. You're vacuuming the carpet again. Looks great. Yeah. When I was getting particularly burnt out last fall, Ariel encouraged me to drive up to the mountains to meet up with one of our mutual friends, a fellow college roommate. He drove down from San Francisco. I drove up from LA. And those like 4 hours in the car, I was just like, I can think about whatever I want. I can stop to look at the view if I so please. I can, I pulled off on some of those like lookouts and just sat there and was like, huh, the world is beautiful. Little dry these days, little dry. Nice desert landscaping here in middle California, but pretty. I think we're both introverts, I would say.
Yeah.
Deep down, I'm very, performative and outgoing, but I recharge my batteries by being alone. Going to a party. Love going to parties, but let's go. Takes effort.
Not invigorating. It is you
didn't know that
fun,
about me?
It's like
What's that?
It draws down the batteries. It doesn't draw up the batteries.
Right, exactly. Draws down the batteries. Yeah. Our producers are saying they didn't know that about me because I'm so good at projecting extroversion. Just so. No, I mean, I guess I like talking and I like, performing and I like talking to people and meeting new people. But it's draining.
Yeah.
If I could spend a whole day just completely by myself, that sounds like nice to me, but whereas I think a true extrovert is like, that sounds like a terrible day.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way. Like, and especially, during the pandemic, like, oh man, a day. Yeah. You were saying like on your drive, you've been known to, you pull over at the highway overpasses. I've been known to do that in like the hardware store parking lot. Just sit and listen to NPR, appreciate the fact that the Tigger song is not playing on the car radio for the 100th time. And I can just sit in the hardware store parking lot and look at the ABC store and say, man, the world is beautiful.
Yeah, it's so true. There's definitely those moments where you have like a kind of a pre-approved errand, you might say. Like, everyone knows you're going to the grocery store. You're going to get these things. Everyone, we're all on board because we need these things for whatever thing that we're cooking.
That cannot
but then
be delivered.
sometimes
it's very
you might,
important.
Yeah, you have a little extra leeway, right? I've definitely sat in the parking lot of the grocery store and said, well, why don't I just watch 5 minutes of TikToks? And then I'll go in the grocery store because I can't do that at home. Someone will, either my toddler or my wife, be like, what you doing?
Kids and phones. I mean, like you pull out the phone and they just think it's a device for, I don't know, Disney characters, old pictures of them. I don't know what your kids do with the phone, but
old pictures, truck videos.
Like, she's swiping, she's pinching and zooming. She knows her stuff.
When they're in their 20s, they're just gonna be like, just hologramming everything, and programming, and Bitcoin.
Yeah. Sorry I didn't buy you a Bitcoin when you were born, kid. That would
sorry, kid. Yeah, it would have been worth $5 billion to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I would have lost the password.
Moments. Yeah. Sorry, kid. I didn't tattoo your seed phrase onto your toe. Second time around, we both have 2 kids now. Do you think it was easier? Did it get harder? Do you kind of know what to expect?
I think you know what to expect, and so the actual infant care part is easier, but it's like playing a video game on the highest difficulty level, because there's just like a super boss at the end of every level. Like the toddler super boss wasn't there the first time you played it.
Oh my God, that's such a good analogy. You know all the controls, but the difficulty setting just got ramped up to veteran.
Yeah, it's like your second playthrough, the game, they changed the rules. I have limited ammunition now? Oh, that monster wasn't there. So yeah.
My jump attack's not working anymore. Yeah, that's what they do on hard mode of games. They just don't give you as much ammo.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? I ran out of bullets? This isn't fair.
You always think they've, I'm gonna lose more of your listeners, but it's they're not upping the AI difficulty. They're not making the game smarter. They're just throwing more shit at you.
They can only get so smart.
Yeah.
A computer villain only gonna be so smart. Never gonna approach a online player.
But if there's 4 of them and you only have 3 bullets, what are you gonna do? Anyway, I would say that is what the second time around is like. I feel like I often have 3 bullets, and there are 4 monsters.
2 kids, only 1 set of hands.
Yeah.
Do you find that the older one gets more of your attention? That was the case for us, where since Ariel is breastfeeding and having more time to spend with the infant now, kind of the 3-year-old is daddy's responsibility.
I think it'll be different when I start my parental leave, which is soon. Our current setup is basically because my wife spends we have a nanny, though my wife spends so much of her day with the infant that I feel like the highest and best use of me is at the end of the workday to take physical custody of the baby and trying to sort of facilitate more time for my wife to be with the older one.
Okay.
Which
that's a nice
which is we'll see what goes on with leave. But that's definitely our current setup. And also I think our older one is very much she likes her mom more than she likes me.
Okay.
So it's definitely that's the setup she wants too.
Yeah, what makes you say that?
I mean, other than that, I've been told I like mommy more than I like you.
Yeah, I guess she could literally say that now.
Yeah. Huh? Oh yeah, she's got grammar, complete sentences. She's got it all down. She knows it. So yes, that is definitely I used to like sort of mockingly in my head keep a clock about like one of those like whiteboard workday accidents clocks where it'd be like, 4 days since she said, "I don't like you, daddy."
Oh my God.
I've sort of stopped because like it's actually she hasn't said it's been a while, so I stopped updating the old whiteboard daily.
Is that funny or painful to you? Because you're like, man, I put up with all of this crap doing 2 years off of work to raise you, girl, and now you say I don't like you, daddy.
It has to be funny. I mean, it would break you if it was anything but funny.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
So like, yeah, it is funny
deep
because
down, she loves
choose
you.
it to be funny. Yeah, I mean, and like we talked about this on the group chat. There's like, any problem you have, there's a parenting book that will like pat you on the head and be like, oh, she's only doing this because she's so securely attached to you.
My God, it's so true. I mean, we love parenting books and all, but my God, they all say they are contradicting each other. They contradict each other. And all of them say then the kid's going to be okay at the end of the day. So maybe whatever I do, the kid's going to be okay at the end of the day. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's like if they are pushing away from you, that means they're secure and independent. You've given them a strong foundation. If they're clinging to you, that means that they are very attached to you. You've given them a strong foundation.
Yeah. No, I mean, totally agree. And like, I don't know. I definitely had some nihilistic moments where I'm just like, oh, parenting doesn't matter. I don't actually believe that. But there's definitely like, I don't know, as parents, I feel like it's really easy to live and die by like you get to the end of the day and think about all the stuff you did wrong.
The fact that you care and that you're trying is enough. That it'll be okay. I think as, people that like reading books, it's very tempting to kind of buy into one chosen method as gospel and then start looking down or criticizing people that follow different methods or that things that don't agree with that. So I think that's where it gets to be an issue, is if you're like kind of dogmatic with your approach and then not understanding that maybe there are a lot of different ways to raise a healthy kid. What are some other titles?
I totally agree. Dogmatism is bad, but also Ferber is the one and only true method of sleep training.
See, there you go. There it is. See, Zan is preaching the gospel. Do dads judge each other? Do you think if I suddenly was like a no cry sleep advocate, you'd be like, we'd have like an issue?
I don't know if we'd have an issue, but man, I bought that Crunchy book and it's like, oh, so because the book says no cry, they're not going to cry. Okay.
Okay, book author. Yeah. You live in my shoes for a day.
Yeah. Oh, she's crying. What do I do now? I've already failed based on the title.
Oh.
Whereas Ferber's just like set a timer, then set another timer. Then it's just like I evangelize Ferber. It's the only parenting nonsense that I evangelize. But it's just like in part it's also just so good as a parent. It's like, it's really hard to listen to your kid cry. Here is a measurable thing that you're doing. It's just like all it's asking you to do is nothing for X minutes, and then X plus 3 minutes, and then X plus 5 minutes.
Yeah, if you have
Everyone
the goal
can do nothing.
of sleep training, it's so hard to accomplish that without like kind of a structure. The first time with Wes, we did, I don't know if it was specifically Ferber, but it was a method, and I followed a plan, and that plan got me through it. And guess what? It only took 2 days, and then everyone was sleeping way better, and then we were able to, emote more during the day and kind of give more of our energy. So, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that is definitely one that works for you, and to a slightly different extent us as well. That's funny that you're like, I don't want to be dogmatic about things, but this is one that I truly inherently believe in.
Again, I mean, the second kid is somehow going to listen to this podcast, and he's going to be like, I am going to break Ferber.
Let's talk about dad bods.
Yeah.
Did your fitness level change after becoming a dad?
Yes.
You're like, well, it wasn't great to begin with, so just kept on doing me.
So it definitely did, but that's in part because for both pregnancies, I basically gave up drinking for most of the pregnancy. So like 5 to 7 months.
You
Turns
just
out,
got all the daddy points back that you lost promoting the Ferber method.
Yeah. I'll see if I can lose them again. It turns out though that alcohol is mostly just calories, and not drinking alcohol means that you're not like hungrier. You just take in fewer calories. So I basically I would be pretty, even if not fit, and particularly at the end of the second pregnancy, I was definitely not fit because I wasn't I was bike commuting, at least for the first one. I wasn't commuting. I wasn't leaving the house. My only exercise is walking the dog. But as soon as you start drinking again and make no other lifestyle changes, like guess what? That's an extra 1,000 calories a week, every 3 days. That's going nowhere except I don't know.
Dad bod could also be called a beer gut.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the not so nice way of saying it. That's so funny. Yeah, I did that a little bit. And the time that I did that was the Daddy gets a 6-pack in 6 weeks video, which as soon as we took the after photos, it was a slow decline of unraveling it.
It's so much work to maintain. It's not just like getting there. You gotta you gotta keep it then. Who wants to do that?
It's the lifestyle that I do not have time or energy for.
The other thing I will say though is that actually putting an infant to sleep who doesn't want to be asleep, it can be like a physical calorie burning experience. I was trying to put him down and my iPhone was like, it looks like you're doing an indoor walk. Or my watch. And I was like, oh, thank you, watch. I'm not. But I appreciate that you think I'm exercising right now. I am pacing around a room, shushing very loudly while I sway the baby.
Just shifting back and forth like this.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's like wearing a little bit of a weight vest, walking around, maybe doing some knee bends. I don't know, whatever it takes.
It's a light exercise. One thing I admire about you is you are such a big fan of the baby napping on your chest. And I've done that a few times, but often I'm like, oh, well, it's better sleep habits if I try and put that in the crib. But it feels so nice. Especially
so nice.
Talking about dad bods, you give a nice cushion for your baby.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's so nice.
I don't really experience the nostalgia of oh, you were so cute when you were 0 to 3 months old and ruining everybody's sleep and pooping everywhere. But there's definitely when this one is no longer sleeping on me, that's gonna be sad. I'm gonna miss it. It's probably coming soon too. We gotta teach him to sleep.
Yeah. Anytime I have a happenstance where he falls asleep on me, I'll push it more and more before I transfer him. Oh, and also half the times when you transfer to a crib after a chest, it doesn't end well.
Yeah.
Just results in a shorter nap.
Sometimes you just got to go full nap.
Yep. Sometimes you just got to let the baby sleep on your chest and watch a basketball game that you didn't care about until you realized it was on.
Oh, yeah. Commercials and all.
Yeah. I remember when March Madness came around, I'd turned on some basketball game and everyone was like, what are you doing? You don't care about basketball. You don't know anything about these teams. You're just watching this because your buddies are talking about it and it's on TV right now, right? And I was like, exactly.
That is all the reason I need.
We have created importance out of nothing, the way we do with all things. Why do we care about football so much? I don't know. It's probably because it just creates a sense of meaning out of our lives.
I would honestly have abandoned football if it weren't for fantasy.
I think that's true.
And maybe this is just like my nonsense justification, but like I feel like I care about football because I really love our fantasy league.
It's a way of fostering friendships and continuing. I mean, our group thread, not the dad group thread, that's a little more specific, but our kind of broader guy friend kind of buddies fantasy league, it's like daily. There can be like 200 messages a day sometimes.
Yeah.
Usually between the Marxist and the business school guy arguing over the fabric of the economy.
Yeah, or like the 4 lawyers going off on
the 4 lawyers saying
nonsense.
Something specific about Supreme Court dockets that I'm like, I have no idea.
I often think about remember when texts were like 10 cents a pop?
Ooh, yeah.
I sometimes think about how much money we would be costing our parents, who at that point were paying for our cell phone plan. Like I feel like I had a cell phone plan once that was like 30 free texts a month.
And that was
it was like a
huge.
big deal if you went over your 30 free texts.
The first ever like, oh my God, you can text unlimited? That was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
You're still downloading JPEGs like one line at a time and paying like by the megabyte for data. But wow, free texts?
Unlimited text with the T9, and then like it was the T9 keyboard, so you didn't have to hit 2-3 times to get the C. Like you could just type it out.
What do you think our child-free friends don't understand? Like, what would you tell yourself as a 28-year-old or you tell the self before you had kids?
For me, it's just like I sometimes think about what I used to think about was a busy weekend. And I'm like, young Zan, you had no idea. You had so much free time that you were wasting on social media and with like the NFL pregame show. Young Zan, you were a foolish 28-year-old.
You were wasting your time. You had so much time.
And I mean, I bet if anybody has like 3 or 4 kids, they're gonna be like, you had no idea how much free time you had when it was just 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, even going from 2 to 1, like there used to be a nap time.
Oh, for sure. There used to be a nap time. Now it's just interlocking nap times that always seem to puzzle piece themselves not together.
The toddler dropped her nap.
Oh, it's gone? It's just gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. And it's gone.
And it's gone.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in a in-between phase for sure. Some days it is definitely gone.
I was promised that nap dropping would also mean longer nighttime sleep. The baby books lied to me. Or at least half the baby books lied to me. And maybe the other half of the baby books that say the opposite thing didn't lie to me. But no noticeable difference in nighttime sleep. It's just like, oh, you used to have an hour and 15 minutes in the middle of the day that was yours?
I would say it's like not only no difference, but it's actively worse now for me. Like when Wes naps, when he happens to nap in the middle of the day, then he has so much energy at night. Like it is, I have to be just firing on all cylinders just to get him asleep by 8:45 p.m., which is, that is late.
That's super late.
I know. When do I have daddy time? Never.
Our bedtime is like 7 o'clock. She wakes up super
what?
early.
Your bedtime is 7 o'clock for the 3-year-old?
The 3-year-old goes to bed at 7.
No.
8:45?
I know. It's like, well, it used to be 8, and then daylight savings time happened, and it never shifted back. I tried, and I'm trying. 7.
7.
He's going to bed at 7.
When does he wake up?
What the shit? Well, the thing is, sometimes he has slept till 7:15 in the morning. And I'm like, what are you doing in there? I've been up for an hour and a half already. Get on my level. We want to shift the whole thing earlier. But it's been hard. I mean, sometimes he'll wake up at 6:30 still. But you're right. He never wakes up at 5:30 anymore. Is that something that happens for you? He said, hoping to give himself some sense of maybe...
She's usually up before 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely. We have a.
I feel like I'd take that trade though.
Yeah. I mean, having time at night is like that's real post bedtime time. I mean, that's
like 2 hours. It's enough to go to dinner. I got to talk to Ariel about this. Wow.
But it also means, especially with the pandemic, we're doing we do family dinner every night. So my wife likes to eat early. My toddler likes to eat early. Daddy doesn't like to eat early. Oh, well, this probably also explains Dad, but there's a lot of fourth meal in my life right now. Just like I'm like I eat dinner at 5:15, and I'm like I'm so like I might as well have not eaten. It's 8 o'clock. It's 8:30. I'm starving. I'm gonna order an entire pizza, and I'm gonna eat most of it by myself
with beer.
These
days, we have a monthly Among Us game. That is. I think that's the only time I'm like drinking beer by myself, and it's delightful. But I'm not by myself. I'm with my friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like Zoom happy hours got a really bad rap. Maybe a deserved bad rap.
Yeah, they're fun if you're playing Among Us.
But like Zoom Among Us is great.
Yeah, because it's a little hard to read people's emotions anyways, which just makes it all the more confusing.
I think Zoom Among Us, when I'm the imposter, is the only thing that makes me feel remotely the level of like stress that I just like feel when I watch my toddler like barrel down the hall towards a doorknob that like might take, like it is truly anxiety inducing in a way that like basically parenting also can be.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah, if you are not a parent and you want to feel what it's like, play Among Us until you're the imposter.
Yeah.
When do you guys start it's got, like bath time and everything? This is shocking to me.
So okay, so like dinner's on the table by like 5 or 5:15.
Okay, that's early. Yeah, okay, that's good.
Dinner's
I like it.
Done by 5:25 because she's a toddler and she eats 3 bites and it's like I'm done. Then, we're trying to get her to start cleaning up after herself. So that takes a while because it's like, hey, you left this giant mess. Can you contribute to the cleaning up of it?
Hey, kid. You start pulling your weight around here.
Yeah, so that's like, I don't know, 20 minutes. We head upstairs around 5:45. Bath time.
Dang.
And then like starting at like 6:15, she's legit exhausted. And then it's just like, stories, get dressed, brush your teeth, like try to wind down, all that stuff. Bedtime.
That's great. I think part of it's me because sometimes I get a little carried away with the story and sort of I don't want to use Lord of the Rings as a comparison point, but it's basically Lord of the Rings. Our way with 2 kids is we'll kind of do like a little alternating thing, and I think the transition slowing us down a good 20 minutes with 5 minutes in real time transition, and then 7 minutes in wind up, cool down with each parent. Maybe we got to reassess this. 7. Oh my God.
I'm
do with
8:45.
myself? I would start playing Civ 5.
When does he eat dinner?
Our nanny leaves at 5, so that's when we kind of stop working. And we'll start prepping dinner at 5. He'll watch truck movie around 5:30 maybe for a little bit, watching some truck. That's when the scourge of Blippi has entered the household. But try to sit down at 6:15. Start bath at 6:30, 6:45. But sometimes it pushes to 7. And then, I don't know. Ariel's, as you know, I'm suggesting that we play Super Smash Brothers around 7:15. Usually I can get Finn to sleep by 7:30, sometimes 7, which is 10 p.m. on the East Coast, which is already asking a lot. But then there's maybe 20 minutes where Ariel's reading books, and then I'm in there usually 7:45 or 8. But if it's 8 or if it's 8:15, it takes me till 8:45 to...
That makes sense. We definitely, so we definitely don't do, like, I basically haven't been super involved with the toddler bedtime. Like, I often do bath time, and I'm like in the room holding the infant when my wife's doing bedtime, but it's like, it's basically one parent for bedtime.
Yeah. That's probably...
So there's none of that.
A
There's
smarter
none of the
way of doing it. It's just... Sometimes when it was just me, I would be like, oh my God, this is an hour and a half of just pure energy for me. I'm getting burnt out. So that's kind of why we started breaking it up.
Yeah.
But maybe if it was 45 minutes of pure energy, everyone would be happier.
So
well,
maybe when he drops his nap, you're gonna maybe like 8:45. Maybe maybe that'll make a difference when he drops his nap. You can move it. Because you can start pushing it down.
When he drops his nap, it is more like 8, maybe even 7:45 sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, life's a journey. You gotta take baby steps out there. That's the name of the show for a reason. Well, Zan, it has been so nice to catch up with you and to chat about all things daddy. And also hearing about your experience as a stay-at-home dad.
Well, thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. And all you listeners out there, be sure to subscribe, rate us 5 stars on iTunes Store, and email us your questions at babystepsadvice@gmail.com. We got another advice episode coming up. And, hang in there, Zan. It was a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks, Ned.